What is up YouTube? It's Sid from Cool Moviegram, your source for everything about cool movies. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and check out my other videos too for more cool movie related content. Now, first of all, I would like to say a thank you to all those who have actually doubled my my subscribers to over 200 in the space of just a couple of months. And it's just it's an honor, and I thank you very much, especially from those people who have actually viewed all my videos, and particularly those from Indonesia and Philippines and Malaysia and whatnot, and everyone else around the world that these videos are kind of reaching out to. And I'd say thank you very much to all you wonderful people. You have made this absolutely more worth it. Now, this is the first in a series of 10 videos. Yes, hear me out. 10 videos discussing my top 50 favorite action movies. So that's Cool Moviegram's top 50 favorite action movies. Now, as many people who know me and as many people who follow my Instagram and just people who have actually seen my other videos, they do know that I do love action movies. Action movies are actually one of my favorite genres. And I actually kind of went through a process of actually, well, just listing 50 of my favorite action movies, and I'm going to be doing a breakdown of each movie. So it's going to be 5 movies per video, and I'll be going through each movie and why I like them and why I think you should check them out, especially if you love your action movies as much as me. Right, okay, then let's get started. At 50, we have Time and Tide, 2000, a Hong Kong movie directed by Choi Hawk. And the stars are Nicholas Tse, Wu Bai, Kathy Choi, Anthony Wong and Candy Lo. The film stars Nicholas Tse as Tyler, a streetwise bartender who ends up on a bender with a female, and eventually gets her pregnant. The fact is that she's a police officer who had just fallen out with her lesbian lover, and he feels the need to contribute towards his child, so he ends up taking a job as a bodyguard working for a former loan shark called Uncle J.I. played by Anthony Wong. And in the midst of this, he befriends a mysterious man played by Wu Bai, who's a former mercenary, and his mercenary buddies are in town out for revenge and also asking him to return the favor. In order to save his father-in-law, the mysterious man asks for Tyler's help, who reluctantly gets involved with a lot of chaos ensuing. Now, this film, it kind of starts off in a very kind of like Wong Kar-wai-esque kind of feel, but in terms of like the wild cinematography, the camera work, and some of the action sequences, especially the car chases involved, some great stunts, including, you know, shootouts on moving vehicles, including motorcycles. And one of the highlights of the film was an actual shootout where you see the one of the members of the cast actually on like these wires, just on a wire, kind of bungee jumping or abseiling around this tower block. Like, just imagine like tower blocks of apartments, and you're just kind of like evading and shooting bad guys. And the way that whole sequence was kind of like filmed on the outside and the inside of the building, it's absolutely just, it's wild. And also the use of like some interesting talents, even including Kenji Katanagi, who's also a part of Donnie Yen's team on several of his films. He's also in a little cameo of this movie, and he's also I think he is also the stunt coordinator for this film. But definitely this movie itself, I would say check it out. It's available on Blu-ray from Eureka, and also this is actually streaming on Netflix at this moment in time. 49, we have Drive, 1997, directed by Steve Wang, of course, a US movie. Not to be confused by Nicholas Winding Refn's masterpiece Drive, starring Ryan Gosling. This one stars Mark Dacascos, Kadeem Hardison, and Brittany Murphy. Rest in peace. Now, this film is about a martial artist who runs off with a prototype technology, and he kind of takes hostage a struggling songwriter played by Kadeem Hardison, who end up bonding on like a road trip and also evade some assassins. And the whole film is just filled to the brim with incredible action sequences. The fight choreography is possibly on par with a lot of what you would see in 80s and 90s modern day martial arts action movies. And it had a lot of the great humor, especially the chemistry between Mark Dacascos and Kadeem Hardison is brilliant. I mean, Brittany Murphy kind of like plays for kicks, being a very kind of cutesy kind of role, but her comic timing actually does pay off in this movie. And yeah, and overall it's a blast. I mean, the movie itself, the director's cut is about 1 hour and 52 minutes long. So, but it's just such a fast-paced movie. This movie, bearing in mind it was made prior to Brett Ratner's Rush Hour. And Brett Ratner himself had said that if he had actually seen Drive before, he would not have made Rush Hour at all, because it was just kind of like had that feel. But I would say Drive definitely had that edge. I mean, Steve Wang directed the action sequences with perfection, and the choreography is just absolutely amazing. And definitely, this is just one fun blast of a movie. I would urge you to check it out. I mean, there is an out-of-print DVD that was released in the UK by Medusa Films, which at the same time as their Hong Kong Legends label had actually taken off. But at the same time, it is actually being released soon by 88 Films, who are releasing it on 4K and also on Blu-ray too. So I think that's coming out in June or July. So I would say definitely check it out. We have Invisible Target, 2007 Hong Kong, directed by the late Benny Chan. The film stars Nicholas Tsay, Sean Yu, JC Chan, Wu Jing, and a host of others. This film starts off with a rather interesting kind of like shootout and explosion kind of action sequence going on. And the film itself is about three cops with different motives who are looking for either revenge or answers from a gang of thieves that had come from either mainland or Vietnam. I think it was meant to be mainland, but I think they changed it to Vietnam, who are actually out for revenge for the people who betrayed them. And you kind of see this whole kind of amalgamation of these three cops who are like completely different characters, different personalities, who will clash but eventually bond as they have a common enemy. But at the same time, you see the kind of layers of police corruption. And in the midst of this, we have amazing on-foot chases that take place through like shanty towns, rooftops, the streets, some amazing action sequences which were choreographed by one of the former members of the Jackie Chan stunt team. I think they're still serving member of the Jackie Chan stunt team actually. And also just some amazing action-packed explosive action sequences, including car chases, just a final showdown in like an actual police headquarters. It's just great. And like even some of the fight choreography, especially being like Wu Jing, did pretty well. I mean, he was just absolutely on fire as the bad guy. He kind of like he did shine the most out of all of the actual cast. I mean, Nicholas Say did handle his role pretty well, and he, when it comes to fight choreography, he does pretty well. I mean, he has actually been improving with each movie that he's performed his martial arts action in. And even JC Chan, aka Jackie Chan Jr., manages to kind of like fight in a very convincing way, considering, unlike his father, has never actually been trained formally in any form of martial arts and such. But he did pretty well, and even some of the falls and the stunts that he did in his actual initial fight scene that he had in the movie, he actually did it without any stunt doubles, and being that it's Hong Kong, they do it without much safety precautions. And I would say, yeah, wow, it's actually pretty good, and it was quite refreshing to see, Triad movie regular Mark Cheng playing a good guy in this movie, and which was a surprise. And you just kind of have like all these different stars from like Hong Kong cinema just peppered out in either small roles or cameos or just special appearances. And definitely, I mean, the film had quite an interesting emotional core to it, but overall it was just a slap bang, awesome, action-packed, filled to the brim, incredible popcorn flick. It's one of those that you could watch on repeat viewings. I mean, considering it's longer than 2 hours, but it's definitely worth the watch. I mean, I think the Blu-ray is probably out of print now by Cine Asia, but it was released by them under the Dragon Dynasty label for DVD and Blu-ray in the US, and also in the UK with Cine Asia who had actually released it. And definitely, I would say that this one, if you haven't seen it, again, I recommend you seek this one out. In particular, if you enjoy other films by Benny Chan, and including his works with Jackie Chan and his last movie with Donnie Yen, I would definitely say this one is worth the watch. It's just absolutely entertaining. It's not high art, and it's not really like I say, intellectual cinema, but it's just hella entertaining. I mean, this is what you kind of want from like an action movie. You don't want to think too much. You don't want to kind of ponder too much on the meaning of life. You don't want to have compelling kind of like a compelling kind of storyline as much. But as long as the story is there to serve for some great action sequences, but still kind of carry a great emotional center at the same time, hey, you know what? I would say that this movie kind of succeeds on those fronts. 47, we have Armor of God 2, Operation Condor, 1991, directed by Jackie Chan. And this one stars Jackie Chan, Carol Cheng, Eva Cobo de Garcia, Shoko Ikeda, and Vincent Lin. Now, this was a sequel in which Jackie Chan returns as Asian Hawk, but in this film he's referred to as Condor, and he's hired by a group of wealthy Europeans to actually seek out a lost treasure hoard of gold which was stolen by Nazis during World War II. And this kind of sees him kind of globetrot from Europe to Morocco and whatnot, and throughout the way he teams up with a geologist who's played by Carol Cheng, who's very goofy, very perky, very cute, and also a Spanish lady, Eva Cobo de Garcia, who's actually a grandchild of one of the missing soldiers. And he also meets a Japanese traveler, and at the same time they are pursued by a couple of Arab liberation fighters from the Middle East, which were clearly not really played by Arabs, but it just plays for laughs, really kind of like silly but fun. And also some neo-Nazi groups, so mercenaries led by a former Nazi who was also looking to take over and find the gold. And throughout the whole film, you'd see some great, again, Jackie Chan provides great action sequences. I mean, from the start, you'd also see him kind of hark back to paying homage to maybe the original Honor of God, but also the whole Raiders of the Lost Ark thing. And features some great kind of like kind of physical, kind of practical, silly comedy, which works really well, and also some use of great stunt work. And then also some, you know, some incredible fights. Well, an incredible stunt sequence, him on a motorbike being chased through, I think it was Spain. I can't remember which country that was that they actually filmed it in, but yeah, I think clearly you could see some of the shots that it doesn't look like him. It was Jackie Chan on some of the shots, and you know, this is probably one of the few instances where he was actually doubled. And also just you know, the ending is just like an extended kind of brawl full of like amazing kind of like fight choreography, and also just amazing stunt work in a former kind of Nazi bunker in you know, within around the Sahara Desert. And you know, you can see it even in the outtakes that Jackie Chan took some nasty falls in this film. He was actually hurt pretty well. And one of the standout sequences of like action comedy must have been the hotel in Morocco where they stay up, and you've got the rather suggestive hotel owner who's you know, who seems to be kind of enjoying the fact that these people are here in his hotel, and they you know, he's kind of suggesting this whole situation. You have this very kind of situational comedy, which harks back a lot to Jackie Chan's Project A Part 2, in which the scene where Maggie Cheung was actually trying to hide Jackie Chan, and then all the other people that were also hiding in her apartment. And you know, it kind of created this great kind of like situation comedy that was going on at the same time, but then also he had some kind of really cool action set pieces, and even great physical comedy. And fight choreography was on point. I mean, this one, I would say it's a cut above the first Armour of God, which I also loved. I mean, I have reviewed this on the channel when 88 Films released the deluxe edition. But I would say action-wise, I would say Armour of God 2, the sequel, was Operation Condor was a hell of a lot more kind of just filled to the brim with more action. And this was possibly the last. This was actually the last Jackie Chan film that Jackie had directed since until 1998. He was credited as director again on Who Am I, which was kind of co-directed with Benny Chan, but Jackie also served as action director as well. But definitely, I would say, yeah, I mean, if you haven't, watch Armour of God 2. It's definitely one hell of a fun, exciting, and just filled to the brim kick-ass action comedy. And this was actually at the time the most expensive film made in Hong Kong, considering he had actually shot this in the space of over about took over about a year or so, or nearly 2 years in the making. And being that he shot in all these different locations, and it was interesting. You know, it's definitely it's a great fun watch. I mean, this is available on Blu-ray by 88 Films. You get the full Hong Kong version. It's got the export dub, which was released on VHS in the UK back in the 90s, and also has an extended version, which was like the rough cut of the movie, which was before the theatrical version, which was trimmed down. And you got some great kind of like commentaries and interviews and such on that Blu-ray too. Definitely check it out by 88 Films. Operation Condor, aka Armour of God 2. Definitely a brilliant film. At 46, we have Lethal Weapon 4, directed by the late Richard Donner, starring Mel Gibson, Danny Glover, Rene Russo, Joe Pesci, Chris Rock, and Jet Li. This film sees fourth and so far the last installment in the Lethal Weapon series, where we see an aging Riggs and Murtaugh at a different stage in their life where they're both kind of like, one's becoming a granddad, whereas Riggs is now almost becoming a dad. And you kind of see his kind of relationship with his other half kind of looks at kind of a standstill when they don't know whether it's going to go ahead or go further than just being a live-in couple, or are they going to get married. And also at the same time, Danny Glover's character Murtaugh is becoming a granddad. In the midst of all this, impending good news, a triad gang is actually on the hunt for their missing human cargo, as they are trying to kind of run a counterfeit scheme to release some prisoners who are actually part of the triad from a Chinese prison. And in the midst of this, there's a counterfeit scheme going on, whereas Riggs and Murtaugh both kind of uncover this scheme of grand plans. At the same time, they've actually just been promoted to captains. Now, this film itself, the action sequences, top notch. I mean, the highlight being, for me, like the best action sequence was when Riggs and Murtaugh escape from a burning house with their families, and they go after the actual triads, who are led by Jet Li. And this was actually his first Hollywood role, and the first time him playing the villain. And this car chase is just awesome. And you see kind of like where they're kind of like jumping from vehicle to vehicle, crashing through buildings, running through like a freeway and such. And it was just absolutely just slap bang awesome. And the humor in this movie was just great. I mean, Jet Li was a great menacing bad guy. I mean, considering it's the first time he played a villain, he was quite kind of intimidating and kind of very menacing in this film. And he only has like maybe just one line in English, and the rest of it he just kind of speaks like Chinese, well, Mandarin throughout whichever scenes he had to kind of speak. But you know, he was very effective. But the humor in this film, I mean, I thought the Lethal Weapon movies, from the first one to the fourth, each film as they progressed just got funnier and funnier. I mean, you got Joe Pesci, and you also got the addition of Chris Rock. This is pre-Will Smith slap, and yeah, it's Detective Butters, and it was quite great to kind of see how all these kind of like all the actors involved were all having a blast. You could tell they were having fun, especially during the comical scenes and the kind of like the chemistry between them. You see the banter, kind of how they kind of play off one another, and they were having fun. I mean, considering, I mean, it was a lot of great, fitting kind of end to such an awesome series of buddy cop action comedies. And definitely, I would say, yeah, it's widely available. The whole series of the Lethal Weapon movies is widely available globally. I mean, it's kind of like an iconic series of action movies. And definitely, I mean, if you haven't checked it out, then definitely I urge you to check out all of the Lethal Weapon movies. They're all awesome. I'm like a huge fan of the Lethal Weapon movies. I absolutely love them. I mean, all four of them for me are just like, it's just great. If I watch one, I have to go through 2, 3, and 4. And each of them I actually progressively I do enjoy. Right then, that was my numbers 50 to 46 of my top 50 action movies. Definitely I would say hit the subscribe button, check out my Instagram, and also at the same time check out my other videos. And there will be another video coming out in the next week covering numbers 45 to 41. Watch this space.